this topic. Love to talk to it, but you're not gonna insult me if you're like, hey, I'm done with this topic for tonight, and you leave. Heidi well, she's married to me, she has to listen to them all the time. And my kids, we started a year ago around the idea of building data centers. We've had a meeting every Sunday night for a year now on data centers, just in general, what they mean to them and what they mean to us, just to have this kind of conversation. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I'm not in data centers, and so when I'm going to talk about something here, it's not from that point of view. Oh boy, I have a turtle.
No worries.
Okay. I know our society is almost demanding that we put these things in, and I wonder sometimes if artificial intelligence hasn't already discovered a way to clear the planet of human beings by putting data centers in to cure a problem. That's another subject. You may remember Wendy's at one time had a slogan, "Where's the beef?" Well, my question is where's the heat going? Okay. Now I'm an electrical engineer, okay, and I'm worried about the BTU output of a data center and where all of that heat is that we're going to be dumping somewhere. Okay. Now the graphics that you showed were great, and it talked about the data cabinets that were generating all this heat, and how we were going to cool the cabinetry and cool the inside of the building. If any of you remember the second law, or the law of energy cannot be either created or destroyed. Okay, so heat is the same thing. So we're going to have to move the heat from inside the building to somewhere. Okay, so if you remember anything about middle or high school math or physics, your human body, we create about 350 BTUs an hour just living, just sitting here sweating. Okay. Let's talk about a 1 megawatt cabinet, or we've got the 1 megawatt data center in Inc. Okay, so that creates 3,412,142 BTUs per hour. Okay, so if we divided that number by how much we generate in BTUs, that would equate to 9,750 people. Okay, in this room generating heat every hour. Okay, so that's what a 1 megawatt data center or cabinet would equate to. I tried to equate this to something that we could all relate to, which is a gallon of propane. So a lot of us probably use propane, or I don't have the natural gas figures, but there's 91,500 BTUs in a gallon of propane. So if you took the amount of energy that a 1 megawatt data center or cabinet created per hour and divided that by how much energy is in just a gallon of propane, that's 37.3 gallons of propane per hour. That would be the equivalent heat output. Okay. If you multiply that by 24 hours a day, and that's 895 gallons a day of propane. If you multiply that by 365 days a year, that's 326,748 then gallons per year for a 1 megawatt. Now, when we're pumping electrons into the data center, 97 of those 100 electrons that go into the data center produce heat. So that's got to be exhausted somewhere. So a data center is very efficient for creating heat. It's almost like putting an electric resistance heater in the cabinet, and it's going to be a computer instead, but it's 97% efficient for creating heat from what is being powered. So if you have a 500-gallon propane tank, then a 1 megawatt data center would equate to 653 500-gallon tanks of propane a year of heat that we're creating in that building. That's got to go somewhere. A 20 megawatt data center would create enough heat for 13,060 500-gallon propane tanks. So that heat has to be exhausted into either the atmosphere, it has to be pumped into the ground, or it has to be pumped into a groundwater source and go somewhere, okay? I would love to see a productive use for all of that heat energy, rather than just dumping it out into the atmosphere. I mean, we're having enough trouble with global warming as it is, but this certainly is gonna add to it. But for heaven's sakes, we're an awfully smart society. If we can figure out a way to use all of this waste heat, then we could not only have the technology that it seems like we're demanding, but we could also maybe do something productive with what it is that it's giving off that we just end up throwing into the air. And there is a heat island effect that comes with a data center, and the surrounding area does get heated up. I don't have the figures for how much and how far, and of course the atmospheric conditions will affect that. But if you live around a data center and you're close enough that you start to feel the heat effects from it, then probably not gonna be happy. But there's got to be a solution that we can come up with that just doesn't just throw this into the atmosphere and have cooling towers that are just warming the air. So I'm sorry I took up so much time.
No, I love that you're an engineer with all the numbers. It's great, because that was the sole reason, going back to the very beginning of what I said around what is a data center. Everybody has an idea today, right? Everybody has an idea. But what we're not doing with our students, we're not doing is posing the problem to them to go figure out at all. We're saying we have the answers today. So that's why we went back to the high school and said, this is kind of not a me problem. I'm gonna retire, I have a ranch and I have a lake place, and I'm gonna go enjoy it in a few years. This is definitely a you problem, high schoolers. You guys need to understand these problems. And I'll probably have you come, share that with them, right? It's a mathematical. I posted it to SDSU this last week, I was on a call with them. Hey, they're researching heat and that. I said, I would rather have you research the heat side. Could we dry corn? Don't know. Might be a dumb idea, might be a good idea. What are the uses that should be researched by our students and our faculties to answer those questions? Don't know, but we first have to ask them and propose them to start researching. That's the second mission that I'm really on, is those students to pose the question, the problems that we're creating. We created this problem. I don't care who you agrees or disagrees. We as a society created this problem, and we're making it worse, faster, right? We're accepting it. We accepted technology. We accepted our phones. We accepted everything. We created it. So what do we have to do next? Any other questions, or about to wrap up? Oh, got more. Go ahead.
Just one. You talked about the Virginia law as
Yes.
being a model. Is there a county or a locality that has produced an ordinance that you think would be a good model for us to start with?
So that goes back to North Dakota. They had a large group come together and build out a framework of ordinances. It was sent to me by a group of individuals like
Who
this.
did that?
North Dakota, and they just released it. Well, I haven't even got the actual paperwork of it. So I want to read that framework to see if that can be put into play in any county or city or whomever's wanting to look at it. So that to me is where I would start looking at an ordinance. There are others, but the ordinances that I've read have been very hit and miss. They're spot targeted towards one thing, and so they're not. And so what the report said is that is a very comprehensive framework that answers both sides of the equation, whether you're for or against, to model. So that's where I'm going to start my research. So I don't have the specific, other than to start at the North Dakota, what they crafted as a framework. Yeah.
Just doing some brief research on this, the moratoriums that have been put in place just locally here, which would probably be good to follow up on. Sioux County, North Sioux County, Woodbury County, Dubuque, Plymouth, Peosta City, and I'm not sure what that is, where that is. That's a 6-month. All the others are 1 year, and they are hoping to go ahead and draft stricter regulations on all of these. One of the things that I'm concerned about is the EMF field that is created, not so much by the internal, but the external. When you get generators, et cetera, out there, you do have an EMF.
Yep.
Coming from a substation background and being exposed to this, and having many, many friends who have died from cancer as a result of it. That's a huge issue, and I think that really needs to be researched, and the further you are out from the center, the better.
Yep.
But you do have those workers that are there that are exposed to the EMF.
So selfishly, I'll address that one in terms of sound on the perimeter. Very selfishly, in a software program that does all this monitoring of power, water, everything else, continuous monitoring is the way to go. Put up whatever sound mechanisms you need around there. Do continuous monitoring so that you see any trended things over time. Because one of the ordinances in Rapid that they're trying to do is where they're trying to build Sequoia data center there. The ordinance and the noise is right next to a lumber company. Well, what if that lumber company puts another grinder in and that makes the noise go up, right? Is that the data center's fault? Should they be punished? So as you build those, that's where I start looking at continuous monitoring of EFM around the whole facility. They don't do those today. They don't do those, data centers don't do them today, but it's something that should be put in place, I believe.
It should be researched because there is a limit that a body can take from those. Another one, Paul Krugman, who's an economist with Princeton, just did a release on data centers, which is really informational if people want to Google that. The VA lawyer, I just happened to leave a message for him today. He lives in Data Center Valley in Virginia.
Yep.
I'm waiting for his call back tomorrow, and I'd like to interview him. So if anyone has questions, send them to me, because I think this would be very critical information coming from a lawyer that lives right there.
Lives there, yep. We work, Loudoun County is Loudoun County or Loudoun County School District, they also are very willing to share information if you call them or work with them. They're all in Data Center Alley as well, from their perspectives. They're all happy to talk about it, whether they're for or against. Back to the two camps, you can find anybody there to talk both sides of it, because they're kind of proud of the badge, but some of them aren't so proud of the badge, but everybody's willing to talk in that area that I've come across. Okay? Any other questions?
I was just gonna comment a little bit on what Julie was alluding to. These things are new to us around here. You've been involved with them for 30 years, but they're new to us.
Yep.
We hear about them, we hear one wants to come here, and it's put on the fast track, and nobody knows what the hell they're even about, so we're all kind of reeling. And that's where we get.
So, I won't go deep into that one too much, but that is the feeling that I'll tell you, you share a sentiment of about every community in the United States, that this thing just showed up here overnight, right? I promise you that whoever's doing that has been doing research for a long time, right? So there's been talks. Now, transparency is a whole different thing, right? But I promise you that that is a sentiment that is around the United, and we get into Europe and other places, a sentiment that's shared with many communities, right? So that to the industry itself, so the bigger players and some of those are understanding that sentiment and starting to do not this kind of a talk, but more like, hey, we're here, what do you want to know about us? And that's what has to happen next. But yeah.
Because I have learned a lot tonight.
Good. That's my intention, is just to educate. Whether you like them or don't like them, or want to see them or don't ever want to see them. Like I say, since I built the one in data in on West Inlet Road, we've traveled the world to everywhere.
How long have you had one here?
The one that I built here, it's no longer mine. It's part of the Midco fleet.
How long has
but
it
it was
been here?
it was opened in 2009.
Okay, so it's been here 16 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it will for sure be here until 2020 or 2029, because it's on an EDA grant. It's a 20-year grant that it has to stay as it is. So that is the reason that it is that. Don, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just want to say that from the county commission standpoint, I think probably everybody in this room, we need to have more income coming into the county. We're forcing hundreds of different things that the state forces us to pay. And we need the money. And we gotta look at different options, and it may not be perfect. This may not be perfect. But it may offer a good solution to a partial solution to the problem.
I'm gonna throw out another Scott Sandel opinion from Bay, South Dakota, that grew up on a ranch. So again, just my opinion, but what I'm trying to, like, over time craft is if a community is willing to accept a data center, take a data center in, the first question that out-of-staters ask, who's willing to run it? who's willing to run it? So an out-of-stater that's gonna come build a data center, the first question they ask, who's gonna run it? Who's gonna manage it, monitor it? Because it does take people. And my first mindset, because I'm a ranch kid, goes immediately to farming ranch kids. If we build a program that they're educated enough that it becomes just part of their daily chores. I go out and check the cattle, I go check the tractor, I get it ready to go for the field for the day, and my job is the morning time to go through the data center, walk through, make sure all the lights are doing their thing, and off to another one. Again, if the community is willing to accept it, there's a model where we can hire local kids to have another income to help support their farm or ranch while having that as part of their duties. I firmly believe that. So, on top of your tax revenue, that's another path, so.
All right, thank you, Scott, for presenting all that information, and now I'm gonna break my own rule about talking about this. Because you brought up specifically on the fast track of the data center, I just want to publicly address, I sat in on the meetings when that company specifically asked Gary Vedder in Yankton County, what is the process that you have in place for a data center? So the conversations took place, and Gary met with the state's attorney and consulted with them, and that category was selected by Yankton County. The company that came in did not ask for that category, so that is some misinformation that has spread like wildfire, and it is not true. The company asked the question, what is the process that Yankton County has in place right now for us to potentially build something here? So I just wanted to provide that clarification. We don't all have to agree with it. There's a lot of conversations that still have to happen, but the clarity, the company never asked for that designation within the zoning. So, on that, I appreciate all of you who have stayed here this entire time and listened to all of the speakers, and I'm sure many of us will be reaching out to Gary Vedder. If you don't have his contact information, it's on one of these pieces of paper here, so you can share your thoughts with him, as well as attending the June 30th County Commission meeting. Thank you very much, everyone.
I'm also Scott, KYT, so you wouldn't mind when we get a chance to things die down. Otherwise, nice to have just a few. By the way, I'm the one in the back that says small leaves.